All right, you're muted, so now I can talk. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and mute you so I can talk again. So, all right, you're muted, so now I can talk. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and mute you so I can talk again. So also, it's really beta to mute people. Like massively beta.
Hey guys, Zen Shapiro here, just giving some quick context and backstory to the video you're about to watch, where I had an interaction with Hunter Avallone, a pretty well-known Twitch streamer who is supposedly a former conservative per se, who has now turned grifting liberal cuck, or something along those lines. I think that's his persona now. At least that's what I interpret it to be. Well, he was looking for some content for his Twitch stream. He was surveying Christians or something along those lines, and he stumbles into the Discord voice channel that I was in over on the Politics Discord server, which represents the Crucible YouTube channel, which I'm the in-house right-wing debater on, where he and I actually had a live debate scheduled at one point a few months back with a moderator that he backed out of. And you'll notice multiple times in this video, he claims that he did not dodge the debate with me and that he'd never backed out of a debate, even though there is evidence for this, which here in a second I am going to present the evidence. There are screenshots to confirm that he did in fact back out and dodge a debate with no real explanation with me. So, but the good news is we ended up having an interaction on the topic we were supposed to be debating on the Crucible, which was LGBT, homosexuality, and morality, etc. And so I'm going to show the evidence, and then you're going to get to see the interaction itself with some commentary. So I hope you guys enjoy. Yeah, so here are the screenshots that show proof and evidence of Hunter Avallone dodging a debate with me that we had already had scheduled. So this is the conversation between Big Papa Fascist Andrew Wilson, who is the owner of the Crucible, trying to set up the debate with Hunter, and he's DMing on Twitter here. You can see his ad. This is Hunter Avallone. He says, I know we're cooking this up, but I would like you to debate LGBTQ with Zen Shapiro. He's very anti-gay. True. And he inquires. I mean, it's fair to inquire. He says, what's his general position? Is it super religious? And he says almost all homosexuality is religious. However, his arguments are secular, because that is true. My arguments against homosexuality are actually secular for the most part. When I'm exploring my opponent's worldview. Obviously, my moral standards come from a religious foundation, but yeah, I'm a Christian, but I argue from secular positions. And yeah, I'm anti-gay sex, gay union, and homosexuality is generally morally wrong and physically harmful. So then he gasses me up as a good debater, all true, and we'll move on here. He says, do you think it'll end up going towards a moral meta-ethics conversation? So what you can see here is he's already skeptical of going into meta-ethics because he knows he'll lose that conversation. So if it goes into meta-ethics, he's not interested. I do debate meta-ethics, and I would destroy Hunter Avallone in a meta-ethics discussion. He knows that. Most leftists know that, so they avoid meta-ethics at all costs. This is a very common trend among leftists. And they set it up. He says, okay, when's the debate? Effectively, he's agreeing to debate. So we'll move on to the next one. He says we can do this Friday. So this was around, I mean, this was December of 2021. He says we can do this Friday, 7 p.m. EST, or Saturday if we can do it during the day, because I know Hunter likes to do midday stuff. He doesn't really like evening stuff. So he says let's do it at 2 p.m. next week. And this was, again, December 9th, 2021. Andrew says we can do that on a Saturday, and I would have been more than willing to do that on a Saturday, for the record. And then he doesn't respond. That's, it's December 9th, 2021, 8:21 a.m. He says we can do that on a Saturday. The date, the time is all good, confirmed. No response. He sends a question mark at 2 p.m. later that day. No response. That was it. Hunter never responded. He effectively agreed to do the debate, and then he just ghosted BPF on this. So if that's not evidence of Hunter dodging a debate, I don't know what is, but you've seen it, you've heard it here first. Hunter Avallone did in fact dodge a debate with me that we had planned on the Crucible.
They might ban me for this song, but This is how I'm rocking, can't be trans cause it ain't real. They need a mental asylum, say the truth, they look at me like I'm the one with the problem. But they mess with little kids, that's why pedophilia rising. But that's what happens when you give an inch to the gays, promoting sin instead of telling them they should change the ways. They make you wear a mask, you comply, that remind me of slaves. Got my order wrong at McDonald's, thinking you need a raise. I'm about to break the meter, two-way got my heater. Hey, I don't wear Nike, I only rock Adidas. Hey, I'm in the street, yeah, and mostly y'all just tweet us. Hey, and false teachers, so Bryson got a teal. If a man dress like a woman, then it should be a crime. If you impersonate a cop, then they gon' give you some time. Say you a queen, but all you do is twerk and show your behind. And people think you a 10, but you ain't worth a dime. You scared of COVID, but you around like...
Are people here? Are there any Christians here? I'm doing like a little poll.
I don't care. We're in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah, shut up, pussy.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not very Jesus.
You're afraid to debate. You're afraid to debate me, Hunter. You're not allowed in my room unless you debate.
I'm afraid to debate Zen Shapiro. Oh, okay.
Yeah, you already turned down a debate with me.
You want to talk now, buddy?
Yeah, well, let's do it. You want to do it live on the Crucible?
Well, I mean, I'm live on my channel right now. What did you want to talk about?
Okay, well, we were going to talk about LGBT, and you back.
I don't remember backing out, but I'd be happy to talk LGBT with you. Yeah, sure.
Oh, you absolutely backed out, Hunter, and there is evidence of that. Yeah, okay. So do you support gay marriage?
Yes.
Why?
Because that I think it doesn't do any harm on the world, and I think that also by supporting gay marriage, we open up the opportunity for gay people to adopt, and that is a positive, of course.
What about like homosexuality? You just support that in general? You believe in people's free will to be homosexuals?
I mean, yeah, people are usually born at least more likely to be homosexual.
Yeah, okay, but you support it morally, right? You say like it's okay for somebody to have sex with who they want to have sex with as long as it's consensual.
Yeah, what do you support?
I'm anti-LGBT.
Why?
So, yeah, because I'm a Christian.
Okay.
The question I have for you is, given that libertarian philosophy that you hold, as being pro LGBT or being pro homosexuality, virtue of let people do what they want to do, have sex with who you want to have sex with as long as it's consensual, would that principle extend to incest?
Well, usually we have to recognize if there's harm there. So usually with most incestual relationships, you run multiple risks of there being unhealthy power dynamics. And you also run the risk of course, if someone gets pregnant, that child not turning out particularly great.
The pregnancy is a red herring because you could apply that to other scenarios. Yeah, it's absolutely a red herring, the pregnancy argument. And I think I explain why here in a second. But essentially, it's just what I'm doing so far is just like extrapolating out his logic to see if he's consistent in the conclusion, where he says his moral philosophy is essentially let people have sex with who they want to have sex with as long as they're consenting adults. And when you apply that to the case of a consenting brother and sister who want to have sex with each other, that would meet that criteria. So if that's truly your moral philosophy, you should be permitting incest in your worldview. And then when he talks about potential harm from genetic deformities, that can be applied, and you'll see what I say, but that can be applied to women approaching menopause. So we'll see if he's consistent here. And you would
but you have a much higher. No, it's not a red herring. It's part of the potential risk.
Okay, so then let's talk about it. If a woman is over the age of 35, she has significantly higher chances of birth defects.
So why are you against? Hold on, wait. Why are you against gay?
Notice he already has to interrupt me because he realizes his red herring is getting called out.
Marriage. What is your religion? How does your religion affect your belief in gay marriage being wrong?
Hang on a minute. Hang on. I was asking you a question, and you're trying to pivot.
Well, no, you're asking me a lot of questions, and I haven't gotten to ask you any questions.
I was asking you a question, and
I was asking you a question, and you're trying to move off the subject.
Listen, dude, listen.
If I bite the bullet and say it applies to incest, can we move off the subject?
I'm not. If you keep over talking me, I'm gonna have to mute you. I don't want to have to do that. I really don't. So, when a woman is over the age of 35, approaching menopause, there are significantly higher chances for miscarriages, genetic defects, death of the mother, all these bad things that would occur from this marriage or from this pregnancy. So would you then hold the same principle that women over the age of 35 should not be allowed to have sex?
No, and that's why I'm trying to ask.
He said no. He's not consistent in this. He said no, and he's trying to gish gallop onto another point, but the point of this is that his red herring just got called out. He says incest is bad because it can result in genetic deformities. Okay, you can apply that same principle to women over the age of 35 approaching menopause. They have severely higher chances, or significantly higher chances, of genetic deformities, of problems in the pregnancy, all these things. And if you're going to say incest is bad for that reason, you also have to say that women over the age of 35 having sex is also bad. But he said, no, that's not bad. Okay, then you're inconsistent in your principle. You've just conceded your argument effectively. And then he tries to pivot and gish gallop, and you'll see.
If I bite the bullet that maybe this would apply to incest, can we go back to the gay marriage conversation?
So yeah, no, hang on. So given that you wouldn't object to women over the age of 35 having sex, even though their pregnancy could result in all these bad things, you can't use that argument for incest. You're inconsistent. So that's why I was saying it was a red herring, and we can go back to your actual principle as to why you're against incest.
So I'm not here to talk to you about incest. I want to know why you think that gay marriage is wrong according to the Bible.
Yeah, and I'm trying to ground.
I don't think you understand that I'm here to ask you questions also, and you're not going to just hijack the conversation and then just like move it towards a conversation on incest.
All you want. You can ask me questions all you want, but I need to understand your position first.
Well, I need to understand your position, and I don't.
So when perfect. Yeah, I'm a Christian. I'm anti-gay marriage and I'm anti-homosexuality because morality flows from God, and He has commanded us not to be homosexual. Pretty clear, pretty straightforward position that I fleshed out concisely and without much room for misinterpretation. I'm anti-LGBT because God says so. Therefore,
so where has God commanded us not to be homosexual?
Both Old Testament and New Testament.
Have you looked at the original context in a lot of those verses?
No, it's fine.
Well, I know you haven't, because if you had, then you wouldn't actually think that.
Listen. It's in Leviticus, it's in Deuteronomy, it's in Romans.
Sure, so let's start with a Levitical verse. Where in Leviticus does it say this?
I'm not doing a Bible study with an atheist because I don't understand your position yet.
I'm trying to explain my position that being gay is okay.
Are you invoking just a simple libertarian philosophy of let people have sex with who they want to have sex with as long as it is consensual?
Okay, so you believe that morality...
Look at it. He won't answer the question. He won't just give his position. This is not a trick. This is not any sort of bad faith tactic. I'm literally just trying to determine what his position is. What is his moral philosophy regarding sexual morality? And he just won't answer.
Hang on,
is that your position? Hey, Hunter, is that your position?
Why are you not willing to talk about the subject matter here? Are you this desperate to move the conversation to incest?
No, I'm desperate to understand.
I already bit the bullet and said I'll bite the bullet that probably some incestual relationships would be amoral, not immoral.
He has not already bit that bullet, for the record. That was the first time he said that. But you heard it here first, folks. Hunter Avallone. Incest is amoral, morally neutral. Hunter Avallone does not think incest is wrong. Very interesting.
So there you go, buddy. So can we go back to the gay marriage conversation?
Hang on a minute. You didn't clearly bite the bullet. I want to put you in a position where you can't be neutral here. If you were a judge and the bill came across your desk to legalize incest, would you do it?
If you were a judge and a bill came across your desk to legalize homosexuality, would you do it?
I would not appreciate you answering my question with a question.
I'm sorry, I don't appreciate.
He has to answer the question with a question because he knows his position leads him to being pro-incest and that he would have to legalize it. He has to dodge that question. He has to dodge it.
Joining for a Q&A when we're here to talk about gay marriage. So you said that morality stems from God. Why do you believe that?
I'm trying to see where your position leads, and you just successfully dodged my question. Unfortunately,
because your question has nothing to do with the combo.
So, if you were a judge in a position of power, and a bill came across your desk to legalize incest, would you do it?
I don't know. I'm not a judge, thankfully.
No. Dodge. I'm putting you in a hypothetical. Don't dodge the hypothetical.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a judge. I would have to go through law school and
dodge.
And of course, I'd have to examine if there were other potential risks there.
Hang on.
But I don't know why we're. Wait, how do we start talking about? Hey, I really don't want to have to mute you, buddy. But how are we getting on the subject of incest when we're talking about homosexuality? Stop moving the conversation. All right, he's muted me. I'm gone. Holy shit. The dude's just trying to talk about incest? What?
Okay, so that was phase 1 of the interaction. He does return for more. But notice he's just incapable of tracking the conversation so far. He says, oh, he just wants to talk about incest. What? And I think I do touch on this when we talk here in a second. But when you are discussing LGBT, the morality of LGBT, homosexuality, that kind of thing, we're talking about sexual morality. What are our standards for sexual morality? What is our moral paradigm revolving around here? And in that conversation, all aspects of sexual morality are on the table to talk about, whether it be homosexuality, heterosexuality, bisexuality, pedophilia, bestiality, incest, necrophilia. All of these things are on the table to talk about in a discussion about sexual morality. Hunter is incapable of tracking this, and part of that is because he is engaging in bad faith, and he starts to realize, I think, at certain points that if he doesn't obstruct the conversation, he's going to have to bite some severe rhetorical bullets, like being pro-incest. And you'll see.
This is always how it happens, by the way.
Yeah, you getting fucking destroyed. That's how it always happens, Hunter.
Let's see if he'll, if I can go back now. Are you going to stop muting me?
I'll unmute you. I'll unmute you.
Are you going to stop muting me now?
I'm not. I don't want to have to continuously mute you.
There's also a crucial difference here between.
I want you to stop over talking and interjecting.
You aren't letting me talk at all, and you're trying to move this conversation in a direction that's completely irrelevant to homosexuality. If you're not capable of having the homosexuality conversation, then I will leave the server.
Hey, Hunter, listen. The question I've put to you is in this hypothetical where you're the judge. We both need to understand that laws are simply an assertion of morality and enforcement of morality. So when you say something ought to be illegal or legal or whatever, you're saying morally this is wrong or this is okay or neutral or whatever. And when you assert in your moral framework that incest is either amoral or moral, I'm asking you, what follows from that is that if you're the judge, you would legalize incest, right?
Okay, so if I answer your question, will you answer mine?
Notice that I just laid that out in a way that was inescapable. I laid out that laws are simply an enforcement of your moral standards. So when you say that something ought to be illegal, you're saying it ought to be illegal because it's bad morally. When something ought to be legal, it's because it's good morally or neutral morally. This is inescapable, and he accepted it. And when I get him to the conclusion where he's actually not allowed to be neutral, given his moral philosophy, he doesn't get to be neutral in this scenario. He has to either legalize incest or not. He puts a conditionality on him answering the question. He says, "Oh, I'll answer it only if you answer my question," because he can't just engage this in good faith. He can't just answer the questions. He can't just get to his conclusion. So, yeah.
I need an answer first.
Yeah, so I would probably want to look into other potential risks there. I'm not entirely sure if risks would occur. Second of all, I think the big distinction here between incest. Hold on.
Be specific.
Be quiet. Be quiet. Shh.
What risk?
See, I'm just trying to inquire on what he's saying. He's like, oh, well, I would have to weigh out some of the risks. What are the risks involved? And I want to know what risks he's talking about. What risks specifically? That's way too vague of a generalization. Well, I would consider it, but there's risks involved. Okay, what risks? You need to be able to answer that. But he wants to just say, oh, there's risks involved. And second of all, move on to another topic. Move on somewhere else that is not really related. He wanted to gish gallop. He wants to gish gallop and get out of this as quickly as he possibly can. He needs to escape this line of questioning because it leads him to a very scary conclusion that he doesn't want to accept.
I also think that no. Shh, hush. Hey, notice how you're talking constantly and I'm not able to talk?
Question, dude. You did not answer the
question.
I'm
literally trying to answer your question right now and you're not letting me.
Be specific. What risks?
I said I would have to look into if there were risks.
Okay, what would you look into?
Do you want to have a convo about incest? Like, do you want to just have sex with your mom? Are you okay right now?
Listen, dude. Listen.
You're literally being hysterical right now.
The LGBT discussion is a discussion about sexual morality. Therefore, all aspects of sexual morality are on the table to discuss, including incest.
But
okay?
yeah,
So
I agree.
Legality.
If it's morality, it has nothing to do with the law. First of all, second of all, we're trying to talk about homosexuality, and you're trying to move the conversation.
I'm walking your first principle through to its logical conclusion to see if you are consistent, but then you dodge at the end because you realize that position leads you to being pro-incest.
No, I already said.
True.
I would probably be okay with incest. Yeah, it's probably amoral in some
So
circumstances.
you would legalize it.
You heard it here first. He would be okay with incest in some circumstances, and it's probably amoral. Again, optics check. Hunter Avallone, not anti-incest. Hunter Avallone would have to legalize incest in his worldview if he were given the authority.
You would legalize it?
I don't know if I would legalize it, and I think the big difference
Why wouldn't
there.
you?
Hold
Why
on.
wouldn't you?
Can
Why
I?
wouldn't you if it's moral? If it's
Literally, you're not
legal,
letting
why
me
would you
talk,
not
dude.
do it?
Shut the fuck up, or I'm gonna leave. Okay. So
Okay,
the big
leave
difference
then.
here.
Nobody's-
Shut the
nobody
fuck
will
up,
beat
Zen
you.
Shapiro.
You're
Hey,
washed up
hey.
anyway. You're washed up.
All right, you're muted, so now I can talk. So when it
Notice, just keep this in mind, everybody. Put this in your back pocket. He just muted me. He just local muted me on his end. Keep that in mind. It will be relevant later. Hunter Avallone just muted me.
comes to incest, comparing that to homosexuality, I think the big difference there is that people are born gay. People are not born attracted to their siblings necessarily. Second of all, if it was
why not?
If it was completely morally neutral, then I probably would legalize it in some instances. But I already bit the bullet that I'm okay saying that incest can be amoral. Lastly, Zen Shapiro, I finally have a question for you now that you're muted and I can actually talk. Can you tell me, do you think that being gay is moral since it's legal now? Go ahead.
Wrong. Being gay is wrong.
Why?
So, see, notice that I can answer questions directly, unlike you. Now
I just answered your question. It's just that it's a lot more cut and dry than what you're giving me credit for.
Back to the question that you dodged. Is it the case that if incest is moral or neutral in your worldview, if that is the case, what risks are you weighing here to determine whether or not we should legalize it? Why not just legalize it?
I just said I would probably legalize it, but I already bit that bullet.
Okay, you would. So
that was his first time really saying that straightforward and biting that bullet, that he would probably legalize incest.
Then let's just get this through to its rhetorical conclusion here. In your ideal society where you are granted all the authority and all the power, incest is an aspect of that society that is legal and permissible, correct?
I mean, it's possible, but again, I'm trying to talk about homosexuality.
See, this is Hunter Avallone 101 right here. I laid out his position in a way that is just undeniable. I literally represented him perfectly in his moral philosophy, in his paradigm. If incest is morally good or neutral, and there's no real objective downside to incest in his worldview, then in his ideal society where he's given authority, it's legal and it's permissible. And what does he say? Well, it's possible. It's possible. He just gives a vague, wishy-washy, slippery answer. That way, when pressed on it, he can just slip out of it. He can go evade and obfuscate somewhere else. And you'll see it.
Sexuality, and you keep moving.
I'm so sick of these wishy-washy non-answers.
Because I don't have a particularly strong stance when it comes to incest. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because you have not thought out your moral philosophy on this. You clearly have not thought through your standards of sexual morality to their conclusion. You've never engaged in a conversation like this, and it shows.
You said you wanted to talk about homosexuality, and I'm trying really hard to move us back to that subject, and you're like obsessing over incest. It's really weird.
You have not fleshed out your views properly.
You haven't fleshed out your views. You haven't fleshed out your views properly.
Yes, I have, because when you ask me questions, I answer them directly. Is being gay wrong? Yes.
Okay, why is being gay wrong?
Because God is the standard of morality.
Why is God the standard of morality?
Because God is ultimate.
So if God is the standard of morality, why do God's morals not align with harm or harm reduction?
If God real, why bad thing happen? That's essentially what Hunter's saying there.
Well, hang on a minute.
So shouldn't a moral be based on?
Because no, you're creating your own standard now. Harm reduction, harm is not one of God's standards that He puts forth. That nothing shall be harmful. Anything harmful.
Well, shouldn't morals lead to less harm?
Sometimes harm is necessary for justice. For example, self-defense.
Yeah, but
notice he just agreed with me. He just gave a little and now he's trying to pivot and gish gallop again. But I just showed him why a standard of morals being harm reduction actually wouldn't make sense, because there are scenarios where harm is actually justified. Like when somebody's pointing a gun at you and you killed them in self-defense, You harmed them, but it's justified, and he agrees. So he can't just simply say, oh, why are the standards not just harm reduction? Because there's times where harm is actually necessary in order to be just. In order for the justice to be enacted, harm sometimes must be inflicted. And he agrees. He literally agrees. He just conceded his own position again.
Shouldn't God's morals, like the
do you
moral
agree with that?
commandments...
Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that?
I don't know. When I'm talking about harm, I'm talking about a general harm on society. I think that having the ability to...
No, let's just
General harm on society, huh? So you think reducing general harm on society is a good thing, Hunter? I can think of a way we could reduce general harm on society. That would be reducing STDs. And I can think of a very specific demographic, a very specific sect of the population that carries a significantly higher rate of STDs than the others. And I think we all know what that population is. And I think we could maybe establish, given that argument, that this population is enacting harm on society because they're carrying around and spreading a bunch of STDs to everybody, resulting in famine and death.
I'm trying to flesh it out, okay?
Let's get a very
I'm trying to understand your views. You're not letting me talk. I'm trying to understand your views, and you're not letting me talk. Oh my God. You're not letting me talk.
I don't care if you're upset that you can't talk, okay?
I know you don't, because you won't shut the fuck up, clearly.
You agree that harm can be justified in the case of self-defense, right?
No, I'm talking about a harm on society, and I think...
So you're anti-self-defense?
Can I talk, please? Please, can I talk for more than 3 seconds? All right, I'm going to go ahead and mute you so I can talk again. So... when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about...
Notice, keep it in mind. Keep this in your back pocket, everybody. He has now muted me twice. He has now muted me locally on his end for a second time in this conversation. It is relevant in the future. Just keep it in mind. That is twice now that Hunter Avallone has muted me.
Oh, he muted me again? All right, bye. Holy shit. I guess it was a good idea to not waste my time with that. He literally wouldn't shut the fuck up. By the way, guys, my answer was going to be, it actually reduces harm on general society to have the right to self-defense. That reduces harm ultimately, because it gives you the ability to protect yourself. I'm not talking about harm individually. I'm talking about a broader harm. So wouldn't morals line up with reduction of broader harm, especially on society? Wouldn't God's morals, or shouldn't, better yet, shouldn't God's morals line up with...
This is a very good comment right here from Trump 2024 ever. You heard it here first. Hunter Avallone is pro-incest. So true. So true.
What is and isn't harmful? That's pretty obvious to me. So if you're saying God is ultimate and that's why gay is bad, then couldn't we flip this over and say, well, what if God says murder is okay? Is that moral? She would be really curious to know what he's going to say. Oh, I wonder if he's going to unmute me. The mystery.
Yeah, because you're incapable of engaging with conversations.
He's gonna come in with this secret weapon that's gonna destroy Zen Shapiro's entire worldview. Just wait, everybody.
So, I'll give you one last chance.
Listen, from my experience,
I'll give you one last
both
chance
of
here,
you guys were over talking
hang on,
to each other.
hang on.
He doesn't know how to stop. If God says that murder is moral, does that mean that murder is okay?
That would contradict his nature.
Really? How would that contradict his nature if God has literally called other people to kill before?
Because God is unchanging.
Hasn't God called people to kill before in the Bible?
Yeah.
So doesn't that contradict his
not murder.
will?
It's not murder. If God commands you to do it, it's not murder.
So what if somebody interprets the Bible to say that murder is okay?
Then they're wrong.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think that you're misinterpreting the Bible when it comes to gay rights.
You see, I answered his questions very, very straightforward, very direct, very concisely, you know, and it gets to its conclusion, and really, this is what it is. You know, if God commands you to do something, then it's just, because God is the standard of justice. So when God commands Moses to kill when God commands somebody to die in the Bible, then that's a just killing. And it's not murder, because murder is when you kill somebody under your own autonomous reasoning and under your own autonomous justification in attempt to be more merciful than God and say, actually, it is okay for me to kill this person here, even without the authorization from God or the commandment from God. He doesn't like that, so he just goes, okay, well, what if somebody interprets the Bible to say that murder is good? And I'm like, okay, well, that's just wrong. They're just wrong if they're doing that. And he's like, well, I think your interpretation's wrong. Okay, hot take, just a groundbreaking, groundbreaking statement from Hunter Avallone, the atheist, who has determined that my interpretation of the Bible and Christianity is wrong.
Okay.
And I think you're wrong.
An atheist thinks that I'm interpreting the Bible incorrectly.
Actually, as an atheist, I have a much deeper understanding of Christianity than you do, and it's really, really funny.
And listening to this can also acknowledge that when I ask you questions, I get a bunch of dodges and wishy-washy answers.
This isn't a dodge. It's me trying to flesh things out.
Excuse me, I'm talking. When you ask me questions, I give you very direct, very straightforward answers that get straight to the point.
You're not actually giving me answers straight to the point at all, by any means.
And then it'll appear as though I'm being over aggressive or I'm being over whatever, trying to dominate the conversation. But it's because I'm conversing with a beta who cannot answer questions. His name is Hunter Avallone.
Okay, that was a really clever roast.
Boom.
Dude, I'm sure you're very proud of that one.
And
And I'm sure God is very proud of that one as well. Anyway, he's meeting me again.
Zen Shapiro, this is embarrassing for you, man. Why you?
Yeah, and then there was a heckler in the voice channel there who was siding with Hunter, and he rears his ugly head there at the end. But Hunter takes this as some form of validation, like, oh, one guy agrees with him and disagrees with me. Oh, like, no, it doesn't mean anything. It was just one heckler in the voice channel.
Listen to other.
Then are you in a hurry?
Well, I do have to go here in a couple minutes, but
even people in the server are saying he's being a fucking idiot.
Dodged a debate with me on Crucible.
I didn't dodge a debate with him on the Crucible, by the way.
Yeah, you did. You dodged the debate, and there is evidence for that, which is shown in this video.
I think I've heard everything I need to say. He would legalize incest. Incest is a moral, morally
it's
good
amoral.
Or morally neutral.
I didn't say it was morally good.
And
He's
in his
lying.
ideal society, he would have to have that permitted and legalized.
No, not necessarily.
You're kind of.
Yes, necessarily, Hunter. If it is your moral philosophy that incest is either good or neutral, then it necessarily follows that you would legalize it given the authority. It necessarily follows.
Frequent accusations that he's dodging and obfuscating when he's gotten about 3 words into a sentence makes it seem like you're either in a hurry or your position is weaker, and you should.
Yeah, no, it's not weak because it's not weak. I like I said, I do have to go in a couple minutes. But no, it's not that the position is weak. It's when I ask somebody a question about their sexual morality and they start talking to me about
and you start asking
how many
him questions,
dolphins are
right?
present in the Pacific Ocean. I'm immediately
I didn't say what.
And try to get them back on
Please
track.
unmute
So
me
that's
one more
why I
time.
was interrupting him so quick because I could observe.
Hey, can I get
within
unmuted
the first,
now?
Few words that he wasn't going to question. But if he could engage me in good faith, I would be happy to let him.
Oh
speak.
my God, dude, this
But
guy's
he
the
can't.
ultimate
He's in there.
gaslighter.
And let him get maybe he needs to formulate his thought and taking a few more words before you can
No,
exactly
well, you know how these people operate, right? You know how these leftists operate.
No,
Am I a leftist?
not really.
They
Yes, you are a leftist, you are a grifter, and you are a beta, Hunter.
play the victim, like, oh my God, you're interrupting me. Oh my God, you're interrupting me.
He literally,
You
I
are,
got
like,
3 words in.
well,
What?
yes, but meanwhile, if you don't stop them in the middle of their diatribe, they will go off on a whole bunch of unrelated, relevant rabbit trails, just completely sidetrack the conversation. That way, when they're done speaking after their 3-minute monologue, you've almost forgotten what the conversation's even about.
Hey, if you're not able to
And
keep
it's
up with the
hard to even
convo,
respond
buddy,
to that
that's
point.
your fault.
Because they
What?
didn't.
Yeah. When I ask you a question and you completely dodge and obfuscate the question and you spend 3 minutes on a diatribe about something completely unrelated that doesn't answer the question and doesn't actually track with the conversation, and then we all forget what the conversation's about because of that. Oh, that's just our fault because we can't keep up, right? We can't keep up with your bad faith, dodging, dishonest tactics, Hunter. Yeah, we just can't keep up. How dare us?
Answer your question.
Do you think it's possible that Hunter might bring something to the table that you haven't heard? Because if you're saying I can see 3 words in, I know exactly where he's going. You're basically saying there's no point in having this conversation.
No, hang on.
Because you already know everything.
It's not. Hang on a minute. No, it's not that I know exactly where he's going. It's that I know that he's not answering the question. That's all I need.
I literally answered it directly.
Okay, so maybe he's going somewhere relevant to the question, and it just takes a few more words than
unmute
3.
me?
No. When I seriously, when I'm asking somebody about their sexual morality, and then they immediately start saying, "Well, the dolphins in the Pacific Ocean," I can just cut them off. I didn't
say anything like that. This dude.
Yeah, see, he doesn't understand. It's just an illustration. When I ask somebody a question about their sexual morality and they start talking about the dolphins in the Pacific, I'm just illustrating like that would be an example of a dodge. And if somebody's doing that, I don't need to hear the rest of the answer. I can just cut them off, stop them right there. I don't need to know what else you're going to say because you're already dodging the question, and it's more productive for me to just stop you. And when he actually did that was when he was talking about incest being morally good or neutral, but maybe we shouldn't legalize it because of the risks. And I try to inquire on what these risks are, and he wouldn't tell me. He's effectively just dodging. And I'm like, okay, well, you're dodging the question. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to cut you off because sometimes that is a more productive path in the conversation than just letting you obfuscate and rabbit trail. So that's what was going on. Hunter is incapable of tracking what was going on there because he's, again, just a grifter. He's a leftist. He doesn't really think critically.
Dude is literally coping so badly.
I was assuming that this person was pretty much insane. If somebody answered by talking about dolphins in the Pacific, I'd go, I would probably listen to see why they're bringing that up.
Okay, well, then you've got a different debate style than I do.
Oh, debate tactics.
Yes, Hunter, debate tactics. You should, when you're engaging in a discussion, a conversation, a debate with somebody that disagrees with you, you should have some sort of strategy pre-formulated so you know what to say when the conversation goes in whichever direction it goes. And that is called a tactic. It's not bad faith. Just because you have a tactic, that's just a strategy. That's just a plan. It's just a way of thinking ahead on how you're going to conduct yourself. And he just like, oh, it's a tactic. Oh, it's tactics, huh? Like, it's because he's trying to brush off the fact that he lost this debate thoroughly. He got exposed here, and he's this is just copium.
I don't do that.
Well, I try to hear people out, and then I try to either point out why that wasn't relevant, but let them have their piece.
Hang on, I do have to go. But yeah, Hunter, it was fun.
Dude, whenever there are people like that, do not waste your time debating them. I'm serious. If somebody isn't going to even let you get a full sentence in before they cut you off, don't engage with them. They're not engaging in good faith. Notice how when I debate, I ask questions, I try to answer, and I formulate my answer, and then I let them talk also. At least I try to. I definitely sometimes cut people off, but I usually let people, formulate their argument more or less. That's not what this guy is doing. He literally started ad homing, then moving to incest. I would have loved for him to tell me why incest is bad. Can you tell me? Why is incest bad?
See, just a further illustration of Hunter not being able to track the conversation, not understanding the logic here. He said, I just wanted to move to incest. Again, and I already explained this multiple times, that it's because a conversation about LGBT and homosexuality is a conversation about sexual morality. And incest would be on the table to talk about in that. So, and I just wanted to know, is he consistent in talking about that? Is he able to bite these rhetorical bullets? Which he really, I don't think he was doing. He was kind of half biting them and then really evading and dodging. He wouldn't actually own the complete and conclusive consequences of his position. And then when he talks, when he asked the question of, well, I would like to know, why is incest bad? Well, we as Christians, with our Christian ethics, our Christian standards of morality, we actually have an answer to that. The answer is that God says it's bad. We can say consistently that incest is bad because God says so, and homosexuality is bad because God says so. If you are going to hold a secular worldview, it is a very difficult question to answer as to why incest is bad. It's actually, I would argue that it's impossible to answer. And it's especially bad when you argue that when it comes to homosexuality or incest, when you say one is bad but the other is good, you're gonna be inconsistent in your moral philosophy there, because frankly they are the same actions with different variables. And it's if one falls into your standards for sexual morality and the other does not, I have a strong feeling that you're going to be inconsistent in your explanation for that. And Hunter, again, does not realize the trap, the philosophical trap that he falls into when he holds the positions that he does. So he becomes dishonest and starts to, you know, obstruct the conversation.
Also, it's really beta to mute people. Like, massive.
You heard it here. You heard it here first. And this is what I was talking about, guys. This is why I said keep it in your back pocket. Hunter muted me twice in that conversation, but apparently it's beta to do that. It's beta. That's the first true thing Hunter has stated this whole time, that he in fact is a beta male, because his standards for what makes a beta is muting people, and he muted me, so therefore Hunter's a beta. I think we can all agree on something. We can all unite under the truth of the matter that Hunter Avallone is a beta male. He's a grifting leftist beta male. And that's about it. There's not really much else that goes on in this conversation. He just goes and LARPs with his Twitch chat. So if you guys enjoyed, thank you for tuning in. There will be more content to come.
Mask off, I promise they don't help. If I saw my son in the dress, then I'll go and get my belt. Look in the mirror and tell me what you think about yourself. You need a safe space? Sorry, I don't care about what you feel. I'm about to break the meter. Two-way got my heat up. Hey, I don't wear Nike, I only rock Adidas.